the virtuous Sangha out of compassion for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung kính đại đức tặng thinh, vì thứ pháp hồi cấp nhất thiết chúng sanh. Thịnh chuyên diệu pháp luân giao đạo ngã môn, như há liêu sanh thoát tư ly khổ đắc lạc, tất chư vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Namo Sadanto Suche Doye Alahadi San Miao San Puto Se. Namo Tak Tak Tha Toya Daya Alahade Tamyo Tambo Da Toa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu shang sheng she wei miao fa bai qian wan jie nan zao yu, wo jian jian wen de shou chi yuan jie, Ru Lai Cheng Shi. All Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Venerable Jingliang, Venerable YongHua, Venerable Daifeng people, and all good no advisors, Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨、净良大士、师父上人、各位出家人、各位善知识，阿弥陀佛。Chư Tập Bồ Tát, kính thưa Thanh Lương Quốc sư, Hòa thượng Thiên Hoa, quý thầy cô và quý vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone, thank you for joining us. We are gathered here to continue discussing the Avatamsaka Sutra Preface written by the late National Master Jingliang. The last time that we left off at the 10 Paramitas, and first of all, I'd like to make a correction and accept my sincere, please accept my sincere apologies. Last week, I messed up. I gave you the wrong order of the last two items, the last two Paramitas. The Paramitas number 9 should be power, and number 10 should be knowledge. I read about this something like close to 10 years ago, so in English, and unfortunately, the English translation from Master YongHua's teaching was not very, very useful in terms of details. So it's thankfully my research team corrected me afterwards, and and told me that my order is wrong. So I appreciate that. All right, so let me restate for you what those things are. Paramitas is to accomplish, to arrive at the other shore. And that's what the meaning of the Sanskrit term is. So it's a Dharma, a practice that would take many, many iterations. Think in terms of lifetimes, many, many lifetimes. So the Bodhisattva spend many lifetimes working on one paramita at a time. So, for example, when you get to the ninth paramita, which is quite advanced levels, these bodhisattvas would practice the power paramita. What is this power paramita? Power paramita is to, in spite of the adverse opinions, the slanders, in spite of the demonic forces. This is when the demons come around to stop the bodhisattva from their practices. They will attack him or her viciously and non-stop, day and night. Okay, they and the retinues. Okay, so in spite of the adverse opinions, in spite of the all the demonic forces, okay, that come around, not only do they attack the bodhisattva, they also attack the bodhisattva's retinue. And in spite of that, the bodhisattva is not affected by that. So that's why it's called power. The power to overcome adversities and the power to overcome the demonic forces. That's what happens when you reach higher level. You are no longer affected by the demons. At lower levels, you still are confused and affected by the demons. Higher levels, you're not. Okay? And that's a fact. So the bodhisattva gets there by honing the skills, coming to the world and be subject to the attacks and the slanders of the demons, from pulling strings from all over, Buddhists and non-Buddhists alike. Okay, so that's what this practice is about: the power to withstand the attacks, and not lose faith, and not get injured or damaged by the demons. So they are becoming basically indestructible to the demons. Demons can no longer stop them. Okay, number 10 is there's a final paramita in Mahayana. Number 10 is knowledge. So the knowledge here is you know the truth about every single Dharma. Okay, that is called knowledge and wisdom. It's because you are no longer turned by any single Dharma in the world. For example, they look at drugs. Okay, they know the nature of drugs. Therefore, no matter what happens, they're not inclined to try drugs at all. Okay? So all the outside, all these wonderful things that are the external things cannot fool the Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva sees through them all, see through to the true nature of every single thing in this universe. Look at that kind of wisdom. All right, Wei Mountain has a question. Bodhisattva sees through them all, and see through the nature. That sounds good. Was there a question? There's no question. So my question is, there's no question. Yes or no? Is there a question? Okay. Okay, let's go back to the lecture, the materials here. And we address the question when we are able to. So the context here is we're talking about the Dragon Gate. Remember, Dragon Gate. So it's an analogy of this Dharma here, the Buddha Dharma, the achievement that you can realize is just so it says here in the verse of Master Ching Liang, it says too deep to be surveyed. So the Dharma is just too profound to be surveyed, and because the obstructions is so profound as well, so that it has to be even more profound than the obstructions and the challenges that obstruct the Dharma. Okay. The sound hearers of superior virtue refers to the Hinayana practitioners. They, by listening to the Buddha's sermon, by listening to the sound of the preachings, they awaken to the way and they end birth and death. And they are of superior virtue. Superior here means it's pure. So we're talking about purity of mind here. And also the second meaning refers to the Bodhisattva's virtue, which are subtle. They are not meant to be seen at all. They cannot be observed. Okay, the sound hearer's virtues are observable. The Bodhisattva virtues are not. Much harder to fathom, much harder to see. Do we have a question, YouTube now? Can you handle it or what? At all. Then they cannot be observed. Why is that? I have no problems. Choose. And I observe. Somehow there's a problem here. We use the same program everywhere. How come I have a problem here? 144. stop seeing and hearing the fine assembly. The sound hearers, the sound hearers, meaning the sages of the Hinayana teachings, they stop seeing and hearing. These sound hearers, when the Buddha spoke the Avatamsaka Sutra, the sound hearers, the Arhats and the Pratyeka Buddhas, cannot listen to the teaching, cannot see the teaching, cannot see the assembly, cannot hear the teachings, because they are stopped by their own limited wisdom and abilities. It's just a matter of your own limitations. That's why when the Buddha taught the Avatamsaka Sutra right after he became enlightened, is only the case where the Bodhisattvas can listen and can attend those assemblies, whereas the sound hearers could not, because they don't have enough wisdom, they don't have enough blessings to be able to attend and benefit from those teachings. Okay, we're talking about the authentic Hinayana practitioners, Hinayana sound hearers. So it is said that there's a verse that says, they have eyes but cannot see Nishyanda Buddha. Nishyanda Buddha refers to the reward body Buddha. The reward body is one of the three bodies of the Buddha that the Buddhas use to teach Bodhisattvas. Therefore, people whose levels are below the Bodhisattvas cannot see Nishyanda Buddha. They cannot see that reward body Buddha at all. It's so humongous, it's so adorned, it's gigantic. It's no way for the Arhats to see Nishyanda Buddha. Okay, they may be able to get a glimpse of Nishyanda, but they cannot see the Buddha completely, the Nishyanda Buddha completely. So that's why, even though they have the eyes, we're talking about the eyes, their own eyes, as well as their spiritual eyes, they can still not see the Nishyanda Buddha. Okay, they have their limitations in their spiritual powers. They have ears, but do not hear the perfect sudden teaching. The perfect sudden teaching refers to the Avatamsaka Sutra teaching. It's called perfect. It's called sudden teaching. Chan school is sudden teaching. Okay? Meaning that the sudden teaching in a Chan school enables you to attain sudden enlightenment, as typified, as illustrated by the teachings in the 6th Patriarch Sutra. Okay, there's the 6th Patriarch demonstrated to us Buddhists on how the sudden teaching is administered, is given. But that sudden teaching is not perfect. The perfect teaching here only is available in the Avatamsaka Sutra. All right. So as we investigate more of this Avatamsaka Sutra, we understand more about this perfect teaching. Okay, this is ultimate knowledge in Buddhism. Okay, the total knowledge of Buddhism is contained in the Avatamsaka Sutra, and not only does it contain all the Buddhist, the most profound Buddhist teachings, okay, the complete Buddhist teachings, perfect teachings, if you will, until the Avatamsaka Sutra level, the level below them are not perfect. How is that? Okay, and moreover, the Avatamsaka Sutra not only represents the perfect teaching, but also represents the perfect sudden teaching. So you will, as we investigate this Avatamsaka Sutra, we are planting the seeds for in the future to attain the perfect sudden enlightenment. That's how big it is. It's the ultimate achievement. It's the crown jewel of the Buddhist teachings. All right? They stopped, going back to slide 144, they stopped seeing and hearing in the final assembly. The final assembly here refers to the assembly of superior, of great individuals. So for the superior individuals to gather together is rare indeed. Okay, it is extremely rare to be able to have such a gathering of great bodhisattvas and bodhisattvas. That therefore, it means that the teaching host, only the Buddha has the power to draw such people. Okay, as we're here together, I see that we're quite a ways from calling ourselves a fine assembly. Okay, I see people who I'm very impressed on how hard working you've been doing, especially we only have a week left and you've been working hard. I'm very pleased with that. I see already that quite a few of you will, if you keep it up, you continue your path, you definitely reach first stage arhatship pretty easily, pretty quickly. So you're doing something right. We have to figure out what. Okay, we don't know. We should get lucky. So that's impressive, but it's hardly called a fine assembly what we have today. All right. Speaking of assembly, I'd like to share with you, take a moment to share with you some news. That is, we are on the final and 9th. We're beginning the 9th Chan Chi. So the last week of our Chan Chi, on all our way places. Korea, are you still doing Chan Chi over there, or you gave up? What's that? What does it mean? Still? So what does this mean? Yes? It's yes. No is this. Yes is this. You know what it means in the US? YMC. Okay, I thought it was YMC. Okay, so yes, excellent. Okay, we all have one more week for you to become enlightened. Okay, you got to work hard. Plus, I'm very pleased with the fact that you've been, you haven't, a good number of you have and didn't even hesitate to join our group to recite and intervene on behalf of our two countries, the U.S. and Korea, and try to provide some relief to this pandemic here. There's enough suffering to go around, and we decided to do something. So your efforts are making a difference a lot more than you think. Now, can we handle the weight mountain question or not? Go ahead, weight mountain.
Master, I was looking at the third paramita. It's called Ksanti, and it's patience, tolerance, forbearance, acceptance, and endurance. And you're explaining the ninth paramita, the power paramita, as the demons come and attack you, and you have the power to not get moved by it. How is that different from the third paramita, which is, the demons come attack you and you tolerate it and endure it?
Patience is really doesn't require attacks from the demons. Okay? Patience here refers to the fact that you endure what cannot be endured. Okay? Meaning it's so difficult, and yet you still endure it. And you don't give up. The ninth paramita refers to the fact now we deal with demons. Below number 3, patience. You can practice the third paramita, and you don't have to pass the test of the demons. But at a higher level, this is a Mahasattva level where they hone their power by going to battles against the demons, okay, and their retinues. And you better believe that the demons, being demons, they never attack you in a fair way. They don't go one-on-one. They always attack many to one, and then night and day as well. So that is very, very difficult. And moreover, if you rest, the demons will kill you. Okay, so that's why it's extremely dangerous. The demons now are out to harm you. Okay, and you get hurt. The Bodhisattva gets hurt, but the demons cannot kill them. They cannot make the Bodhisattvas lose faith and regress or retract their pledges. All right? So that's a difference. Is it clear? Patience doesn't have to deal with demons. Patience is to prepare yourself to the patience paramita actually prepares yourself internally. Okay. Whereas the power paramita, you now go to war against demons. You declare war on demons. The demons of depression, the demons of COVID-19, the demons of manic depression, all kinds of demons. There's so many kinds of demons, and the Bodhisattvas goes to war. He wages war against demons, and no matter what the demons do, okay, they cannot make the Bodhisattva lose faith and harm the Bodhisattva in the end. Okay, That's true power right there. You see how the way is phrased? The power is not in hurting others. That's very Buddhist. In Buddhism, power is not used to harm others. You have power is because others cannot harm you. That's so Mahayana. Okay? Worldly people say, I have power, therefore I can harm you. You mess with me, I will harm you. That's worldly power. Buddhist power is that no matter what happens, no matter how much you harm me, no matter how much you hurt me, I will not hurt you. Okay, Wei Mang.
Yeah, I was going to ask the question last week, but you said we'd answer it today. I was wondering if the Paramitas were supposed to be practiced each individually and sequentially, or they all get practiced at the same time.
The Paramitas depends on your level. That's a good question. Depends on your level. The Paramitas, when we talk about the practice of the Paramitas, we're referring to the Bodhisattva practices. Okay? The Bodhisattvas, depending on the level, will specialize in certain practices. Okay, for example, the fourth ground Bodhisattva would specialize in practicing vigor, the vigor paramita. Okay, so they lifetime after lifetime, they practice vigorously. Okay, until they perfect this vigor paramita. Okay, so these bodhisattvas, they come to our worlds because our worlds, our imperial worlds, are much better suited to practicing those paramitas than, let's say, the Pure Lands, Western Bliss Pure Land. It's okay to practice there too, but our world is far better. That's why it's not uncommon. There's a synergy between our world, and the Western Bliss Pure Land. Okay, because at times the Bodhisattva people in Western Bliss Pure Land reach a certain level, reach a Bodhisattva level. Okay, Amitabha Buddha would send these people back to impure world like a Saha world to, let's say, save your mother, save your son. Okay, and in doing that, in coming back to fulfill your vow to save those people, and you practice those paramitas. Okay, and so it's not untypical for the bodhisattvas to keep on coming back and practice until they perfect each paramita. Okay, so if you are a fourth ground bodhisattva, you keep on coming back and practicing, in particular to the impure worlds, to practice vigor paramita, and then they die and they keep on coming back and practicing the vigor paramita until it's accomplished. Okay, when it's perfected, then they are promoted to fifth ground Bodhisattva. Then they need to specialize in practicing samadhi. So far, so good. And they specialize in practicing samadhi so that they understand how to develop samadhis. All right? So that's why once they understand how to develop samadhis, then they understand they have a deeper understanding of the Mahayana concepts of Chan that you otherwise can't. So the people below the fifth ground Bodhisattva really don't quite understand Chan yet. They don't understand meditation yet. So, for example, in Korea, for example, the one that we keep on mentioning is Master Sung Chol. Sung Chol is a fourth ground Bodhisattva, so he's very good at teaching. He left a lot of competent disciples, but his samadhi is not quite there yet. Okay, he doesn't quite understand Chan samadhi yet. All right. So and so forth, so does it help? Okay. Then where was I? I was talking about I want to share with you some. I want to share with you some good news that for 3 years ago, one of my disciples, I started watching one of my disciples decay and die slowly, year after year after year. He has heart issues. His family, it's a hereditary. His uncle or relatives of the past lived to be only like 65 years as oldest. So he's in the 70s. So he broke all the family records for the men side. But about 3 years ago, I watched him deteriorate and die slowly, day after day after day after day. And I said, well, what's the big deal? If he dies, he goes to the Pure Land. There's so much suffering here, so what's the big deal? Okay? And at the same time, I watched what he did to fix the situation. And the point being that when it's your karmic retribution that matures, there's nothing you can do. That's the bottom line. If your creditors come, knock on the doors and demand payments, you are helpless. You're powerless against it. Okay, so it's amazing because I watch him, die slowly. Even his son who came to San Jose and said, "Oh, you are not doing well either." So everyone knew, but last year all of a sudden things changed. Last year we started opening two-way places at the same time. So all of a sudden our plannings were thrown out of whack, meaning that we became short-handed. So I decided to intervene, and without his asking for it, I decided to intervene to help him because I'm short-handed. I couldn't afford to have him die yet. You can't go to the Pure Land yet, okay? I don't mind you go to the Pure Land, but can you wait a little bit longer? So my point being that, so I intervened, I meddled, and that's important because of that he was able. So we with the intervention. We brought the debt repayment to a level we can handle, okay, that he could handle himself. So comes the Chanchi here, came the Chanchi, and so the old monk, he came, he decided to go down to Wei Mountain Temple from San Jose to do fasting. He was planning on doing fasting, so he had to go down there because it's pretty. He needs supervision. He needs help. So he went down there, but he couldn't really go into fasting. Okay, so we help him, teach him how to deal with it and meditate instead of fasting. Anyway, the great news is that about 2 weeks ago, he made a leap. He improved. So it's a big deal because later, when we discuss chapter 39 of the Avatamsaka Sutra, Ru Fa Jie, entering the Dharma realm, the youth good wealth, the young Bodhisattva, went around to 53 good no advisors asking to be taught. And so he goes from one level, the first good no advisor, the next, he perfected the teachings, okay, that Dharma door, and then moved on by referral to the next Bodhisattva, who then taught him how to practice the next level. Okay, each level takes about, if you will, millions of years. So what the good wealth had to do in 1 million years, and this old Vietnamese monk, could do it in 7 weeks. That's pretty impressive. Thank you. Don't applaud me, applaud him. So, Master Hsien Chu, what do you have? You have anything to say? Is this me? Yeah, wake up.
A Di Đà Phật, con không có biết cái gì hết á, con chỉ làm theo cái chương trình của thầy thôi, làm hết sức mình trong cái thiền thất thôi. Còn ngoài ra con không có biết con ở đâu mà làm cái gì con không biết.
So he says, Vietnamese has a saying, the dog yawns and it catches the fly. Chó ngáp phải ruồi in Vietnamese. So how do you feel? Is that for real?
Con cảm giác khỏe hơn. Tại vì hồi ở trên San Jose là coi như con giống như cái điện thoại hết pin, không có nhúc nhích được, không có làm gì được hết. Mỗi ngày lên ăn cơm cô liễu nấu ăn rất là mắc cỡ, không có biết làm cái gì hết, đi cũng không nổi nữa. Mấy tháng trời rồi về đây cũng vậy, rồi ngồi thiền rồi tự động nó bớt rồi. Con không biết tại sao, nghe thầy nói có tiếng thì con cũng biết vậy, con không biết tiếng làm sao con cũng không có dám hỏi. Chỉ tới giờ lên ngồi vậy thôi. Như trì chú.
Translation, is a translation in English or not?
Master, I feel that I feel much better because earlier when I was in San Jose, I'm like a phone that's out of battery. Every day when I come to eat, I feel so ashamed because I cannot do anything. I cannot even walk. And after I come down and I meditate, I feel better, but I don't know why. Until Master said that I make progress, and I just know that I'm making progress, but I really don't know why. So basically, I was just follow instruction, doing chant and recite mantra.
Yeah, question on pink.
A Di Đà Phật, thưa thầy, qua sự việc của thầy hiền trì thì con có cái thắc mắc là thầy có cái phát nguyện là muốn kỳ này là fasting bao nhiêu ngày? 36 ngày. Mà thầy về dưới bắt đầu được mấy ngày rồi lại phải xả ra. Cứ như vậy mà 2-3 lần thì con nghĩ rằng cái nghiệp chướng của thầy rất là nặng. Thì tại sao trong lúc mà nghiệp chướng nặng nề như vậy mà thầy có thể là tiến vượt bậc được? A Di Đà Phật.
I have a question. I noticed Venerable Sinchi, before he came down to Way Mountain, he make a vow that he want to fast for 36 days. But every time he try for a day, 2 days, a few days, and then he has to quit. And he tried several times, and he still cannot do it. So it shows his karmic obstruction is very heavy to stop him. But my question is, despite of it, what helped him to make progress?
I think he got lucky in a way. Like a dog yawning. We're not quite sure, but he lucked out. The first fact he's lucky is that he was dying. And when I sent him to San Jose, he could have said, Master, I'm old. Could you let me die in peace? Let me take it easy. Why you have to put me to work? Honestly, if he said that, I would say, okay, die. You want to die? Die. So what's the point in living if you really are not doing anything with your life? Go to the Pure Land. You're better off. Amitabha Buddha would teach you. Stop wasting time here. Okay? You want to die? Go. Okay? So he's a good man. He chose to sacrifice himself to go to San Jose and work. So that's the first right move, right? And after he came to San Jose, he struggled every day, okay? Because the stress also is very stressful is here as well. Last year we had a lot of remodeling work. We had to apply for the permit and so forth. It's very, very stressful to him as well. So being manic, he's very manic. I heard he yelled at a lot of people as well, a lot of monks. And, I know that as a fact already. He's old and he's manic. That's a very, very tough combination. They don't listen anymore. Okay, they old till they think they know everything. Especially since I'm younger than he is. I'm a lot younger, I'd like to think. So it makes it harder to try to tell him anything. And on top of it, being manic means that they don't listen. Doesn't matter. Whatever you say, they don't listen. And you can convince them, they can have all the logic in the world, they don't listen. Okay? And when that happens, you have to beat it into their heads. But why would you want to do that? He's an old and dying old monk. Who cares? Let him, have his things and let him die in peace. Okay, so all those were against him. But somehow he decided that that he has a bodhisattva heart. He says, the rest of my life, I want to devote it to doing something to help others. So that's the big factor right there. Okay. And number two, you should listen to what he said. He said, I don't know anything. I just follow the schedule. Okay? Think about it. How many of you can follow the schedule? You always come up with excuses not to follow the schedule, right? Yeah, I'm too tired. Let me go get some rest. I'm too busy, and so forth. He's better off than you in the sense that he has time to be able to devote to following the schedule. Okay, so that's important. That's the secret about the Chanchi. It's a reminder for all of you that if you go to a Chanchi, where the Chanchi is being organized, especially ours, go there and drop everything, commit to follow the schedule for so long. Forget it, just drop everything else. That's what it's designed to do. Just follow the schedule, drop everything else. So reserve that time for that. That's why I bring up his case, because it illustrates very nicely, even at this stage in his life where he is running out of juice, running out of steam. He still says, I'm going to follow the schedule. I know I can't make it. I'm going to follow it. So if he would sit there when he first came down there, he would sit there and would doze off after a few minutes, sleep all day. Okay, but still following the schedule. It's not about whether you can do it or not, but your mind says, I'm going to follow the schedule. You don't make excuses not to follow the schedule. You commit to come, follow the schedule. It's that simple. It's very simple. Don't think so much. Don't plan so much. Just follow the schedule. If you're supposed to meditate, meditate. You're supposed to walk, walk. You're supposed to rest, rest. So we take all the thinking, all the planning, all the justifications out of the equation for you. Just follow the schedule. Same thing. 4G, same thing. You go and you follow the schedule. Don't decide, I'm too old, I'm too tired, I don't want to run out of I don't want to pass out because I'm too tired. Just follow the schedule first. So he did. Follow the schedule. But he couldn't handle the fasting, as the original question is. So, meaning that, so I taught him how to adjust to it, but still he could not handle it. He could not handle the obstruction from the fasting, Dharma door. So I gave him another one. You see, we have 84,000 Dharma doors, not just one. Fasting is only one. I don't have 84,000. I have about 10,000. It increased a little bit since the last time, from 1,000 to 10,000 now. So the more older people come along, I would probably increase it more. Okay, so we have plenty of Dharma doors to help you overcome these things. Okay, so he passed through a lot of tests. Okay, and that's how he made it. Okay, and so we share with you the story to encourage all of you, the rest of you, now and the future participants. Okay, this wonderful Chanchi Dharma door is inconceivable. Okay, in 7 weeks, this man's effort moved the earth so that it shook a little bit. Okay, his efforts, his sincerity shook the earth. All right, any other questions? You see, old people can still make progress. Dying people can still make progress. Okay? Don't give up on yourself. You want to give up on yourself? No problem. Okay? But he still has a lot of work on. He has to work on that manic side. Now his temper will be even worse than before. Okay? All right. And finally, you're not supposed to know why it happened. Because if you do, it won't happen. It's your knowing mind that's stopping you. If I were to tell you, I give you 10 steps for you to get there, you follow the 10 steps, you get there, it's not going to happen. That's not possible. You have to get there. Somehow you get there, you don't know how at your levels. Okay? That's why I keep on telling people that if you understand, if you know why I'm doing telling you to do certain things, then you won't make it. I can't help you. So, in Mahayana, especially in Chan, in Mahayana training, just do it. Don't think. Just follow the instructions. Okay? And be grateful that you're given instructions. All right? Does it answer the question? So, for example, this lady here who asked the question, she used to come to my Pure Land assemblies and say, I have my schedule. I'm going to do things up to a certain point. Okay, this is what I've always been done. Okay, and that's fine. And so her progress is very, very slow. And when you do that, you stop yourself when you reach a certain level. And somehow she managed to forget about all that and go all out. Okay, don't handicap yourself. Doesn't matter how old or young you are. We all are capable of making advances. Don't sell yourself short. Okay. You are, unfortunately, you're not as smart as you think you are. All right. Next, 145. Sutra text, preface text. Seeing and hearing act as seeds. The 8 difficulties lead to the echelons of the 10 grounds. Understanding and practicing in one's person. One life perfects the fruit of distant kalpas.
见闻为种，8难超10地之阶，解行在功，一生圆旷劫之果。
Okay, 146. Commentary. Seeing and hearing act as seeds. Okay? Seeing as a seed. Seed is an investment in the future. Okay? You need to plant the seeds in the education of our children. That's seeds. We invest in their futures by helping plant the seeds through education. Education, what happens? They see and they hear when they go to these training places. Okay? Seeds are critical in the development, in your own development. Okay? So, seeing, the Buddhism is taught through sound. Okay, the Buddha spoke sutras, and his disciples became enlightened. So the teaching is given by sound. Okay, and because by hearing, the hearing plants those seeds in your consciousness. Okay, and that will in the future sprout. But seeing also creates seeds. Seeing here is like back then, his disciples, the great disciples were acting as his attendants. So they saw what the Buddha did every day. Okay? And that's a tremendous opportunity because you see that, and it acts as all this subconscious knowledge, the volume of knowledge, okay, that are of the highest level types of seeds, because you see not just hearing. The hearing is you only sit there and you hear. You hear for a short while and you go back to your world. Okay? But here, every day, you get to see, these great Bodhisattvas got to see the Buddha, how he functioned every day. Okay? And that's so he spoke the Dharma by actions, by examples. So he's teaching by examples. That's a tremendous teaching. Think about it. You want to teach your children, okay? The best form of education is by example, because they watch you every day. So if you really want to help your children, you can make a huge difference by letting them see you as an accomplished person with wisdom. So worldly people, their children, their children get to observe how these royalties function during the day, or the children of the big tycoons see how their parents, their relatives function. That's a tremendous training right there, tremendous advantage over the rest of us. Okay, and in Buddhism, the seeing, the ability to see, to observe people with wisdom is the most important lesson. One of the more important ways of getting trained. So the great Bodhisattvas, what do? They serve the Buddha. They observe the Buddha day in, day out. How the Buddha taught, how the Buddha answered questions, how the Buddha ate, how the Buddha smiled, how the Buddha reacted. Okay? And that spoke volumes. That's the applications, all the Buddhist principles in their being a Buddha. That is priceless lessons. Okay? So seeing and hearing create seats in your eighth consciousness, okay, that will stick for you forever, and eventually, if your seats are superior seats, then you can ask for better than that. And we're talking about seats, not understanding. Okay, you hear the highest level of teachings, like the Avatamsaka Sutra. You see the highest level example of these great beings in the Buddhas, in the Bodhisattvas. Okay, just like back then, the disciples, the great disciples, would serve the sixth patriarch and get to see how the sixth patriarch functioned. And just like Master Yang Shan served Master Wei Shan for 15 or 40 years. He got to observe a great teacher, day in, day out. Okay? And the difference between Master Yang Shan and versus Master Sheng Hui, who also get to serve the Master Hui Neng, the sixth patriarch, for 15 years, is that Sheng Hui is a smart aleck, was a smart aleck. He didn't obey the sixth patriarch's instructions. And that's why his level of wisdom peaked. It could be a lot higher. Where did he fail? At one point in the Sixth Patriarch Sutra, Master Hui Neng says, "You're such a smart aleck. Go build a thatched hut and cultivate." What did Sheng Hui do? Did not take the order, did not follow the order. You think the sixth patriarch will joke around like us? He doesn't. Every single word he says is for a purpose. So Sheng Hui, who later was recognized as one of the seventh patriarchs in Chinese Chan. He later founded the Heze, the one of the schools that survived for 150 years. So his level was limited. It was pretty good, but it's limited because he did not obey, he did not follow the instructions. These are examples very important for you to pay attention to. You don't need to understand. You just follow and execute. Okay? There's no need to understand. This is why smart people have a hard time. They struggle with that. Especially educated people, smart Alex we call them, too smart for their own good. Yeah, it's true. They're smart, they do well in the world, and they respect in the world, but they really struggle when it comes down to cultivation because they're too smart for their own good. Okay? Back to slide 146. The 8 difficulties leap to the echelons of the 10 grounds. Leap here is sudden. Okay? Leap is to bypass the gradual improvement. You just leap, you just jump. Echelons. Echelons are the gradations, the levels. Okay? Understand this as the precision of the Buddha's training. Contrary to popular belief, each one of us is classified as belonging at a certain level. This is our echelon, where we are. The world, according to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, is very orderly. Okay? You are at a certain level. It doesn't matter who you are. It could be so rich, you could be very smart, could be a genius, could be an artist, could be a baby, okay? But you belong to this echelon. The echelon there is measured by samadhis. Okay? Buddhism is very precise. You can talk all you want, but whatever you do, whatever you say, is reflective of your echelon, your level. You can't fake that. All right? What are the 8 difficulties? The 8 difficulties are the concept in Buddhism where the difficulties are the obstructions so that you cannot encounter the proper Dharma and see the Buddha. You don't realize it, but for us to see the proper Dharma is an incredibly difficult thing to do. Before, in my prior life, it was spent on trying to get ahead in the world, make money, get power, and have fun and all those things, indulge yourself, all those things. Okay, and so in that kind of world. There's no such thing as the Buddha Dharma and spiritual things. So I would go to, would occasionally follow my friends and go to a Vietnamese temple and have fun, and that's about it. Okay, go to Chinese temple, eat some food, or have your photo taken. Okay, and so forth. But that's hardly called the proper Dharma. Okay, and it's not until I did something very significant in terms of charity work. It's actually pretty big, and that's immediately after that, I was brought to Master Shenhua's Dharma. Okay? So my point being that to see the proper Dharma, to encounter the proper Dharma, is extremely difficult. It's not as easy as you think. It's right there in front of you, and you can't even recognize it. Okay? So you cannot encounter proper Dharma or see the Buddha for these reasons. Number one, you are in the house while you suffer day and night, and it's impossible for you to hear the proper Dharma. It is said that if you're in the house and you bring forth, let's say, a mind, you can produce a good thought. Like you can say, Namo, Flower Adornment Sutra. Immediately you can escape from the house. But that's impossible for you to do. Even the Earthful Bodhisattva goes down there to the house and says, you should repeat after me, Namo Avatamsaka Sutra. You say, what for? Okay? They can't do it. They simply cannot even repeat the words. Okay? A hungry ghost, there's another kind of difficulty. You happen, after you fall, after you die, and you happen to fall to the house, you'll be there for a long, long time. Next longest is the hungry ghost realm, where in long kalpas you could not hear of water. This is from the Buddhist teachings, by the way. Okay, you can't even hear water, meaning you're thirsty, and you cannot hear of water to quench your thirst. Here we're thirsty after eating lunch. We immediately can have carbonated water, spring water. Yes? In the house, you're so thirsty. You cannot know any way to quench your thirst. So the thirst gets worse and worse in your lifetime. Okay? And what happened is, when you're able to quench your thirst, some of the hungry ghosts who are relatively more blessed, they get some relief. They get to have to drink some. And what they do is they go and they drink unclean stuff like urine, dirty stuff. Okay? So those are considered more blessed. They belong to the ghosts too. Hungry ghosts too have classes. The low classes, they for millions of years, they cannot eat, they cannot drink. They're thirsty, they're hungry for millions of years. Look for food, they cannot find it. They go everywhere looking for food, for drinks, they can't see it. Okay? And there's types of hungry ghosts who are so-called the upper class of hungry ghosts. Okay? So the retribution are a lot lighter. Okay? So what brings to mind recently, a few weeks ago, I heard a story I was received a phone call, and this lady here recounted the story. Yeah. She's from Vietnam, and she's pretty old. Well, it's not a nice thing to say. She's about the same age group as my second stage arhat here. Okay? And she says that, I have a cousin that when I was younger, that I was very close to him. We would go out when we were younger, teenager, we would go out and play together. And we were very close. We shared everything. Okay, we got along. We were the greatest friends. And then I got married, and he joined the Vietnamese Armed Forces at the age of 30. He stepped on a mine, and they blew him to pieces. So he died. Okay? Yeah. So over the years, she dreamt of him coming back and to play with her, to talk to her. And all of a sudden, after all these years, she remembered the dream. So she called me and asked me, what happened and what can I do to help? And she says that not only did she dream of him, her son also dreams of him on the same night. So what happened is that he would come to her and bring her out to play. And then he would come to the son and plays with the son as well. Same house, same night. Okay? So she says, he would bring me to go see places and go play together and see scenic scenes and so forth. And I remember, she said, this one time we were here where he brought me to this beautiful, beautiful place where there are palaces, so magnificent palaces. Okay? Everywhere is magnificent palaces. And then he went into this place here where he would have a feast. He would give her food. Pizza. She must like pizza for some reason. I think, frog legs, whatever. Okay, this wonderful food and drinks. Okay, and then so she says, so this is still vivid in my mind, and I'm missing any details, Xin. So the son confirmed that too, right? Maybe he was there. We didn't talk to the son. He didn't say much. But she says, he gave me a slice of pizza. It looks so delicious. Okay? So I said, oh, thank you. I like it. So I brought it in my mouth, and I realized it's excrement. So I said, oh, I don't want to eat this. So she dropped, and then I looked, and I realized those palaces are not palaces. We're in a cemetery. Isn't it fascinating? You understand the meaning of the dream? The hungry ghost, when they eat excrement and they drink urine because it's food to them. They think it's delicious food. It's their retribution. Like here, in the slide here, it says, eat and drink unclean stuff. That's a Chinese polite terms. But it's amazing that as I was preparing the slides here 2 weeks ago, okay, I went through the 8 difficulties and prepared the slide here. A few days later, she called me and told me the story to give us an anecdote of what really happens to these hungry ghosts. So he's part of the upper class of hungry ghosts. He can move around, he can go things, and he can feel full, he's not thirsty. But he eats excrements and drinks urine and unclean stuff. Isn't that amazing? So what happened is, for him, it's good food. So that's why he says, have a slice of pizza. Have some Perrier. Okay? Have some, what is Warren Buffett like? Let me see, it's red in color. Hey Warren, have some Coke. Okay? So to him, when he drinks those things, he thinks it's Coke, he thinks it's pizza, he thinks it's, what did we eat for lunch today? Spring roll. Okay? Or noodle soup. But actually it's excrements or excrement soup. Isn't that scary? Because that's what they eat, and they think it's fine food. 3-star Michelin restaurant. Okay? But when he gave it to her, so he says, have some pizza, because that's how he sees it, as pizza, right? That's his karmic retribution. He sees excrement as pizza. So he eats it. And he says, oh, this is so good. You're not impressed. It's so much suffering, think about it. Okay? But when he gave it to his cousin, she doesn't have the same karmic retribution, so she sees it for excrement, not pizza. So that's and then she looked at the palaces. They actually are those houses where, in New Orleans they build these big tombs, and they have the doors and so forth, and that's palaces to him. Yeah, basically, it's a tomb. Isn't it interesting? Isn't it scary? So how would you like to spend millions of lifetimes eating excrement and drinking urine? Because that's what they do. And how do you get there? Anyone? Yeah.
Master, cho con guess, con nghĩ có khi người ta sống họ ích kỷ,
Selfish.
selfish and greedy.
Selfish what?
Selfish and greedy.
And greedy, yeah. Most likely, when he was alive, he was eating 3 meals a day, voraciously. Greedy for food. Greed, okay, in general. Greed. Greedy for nice houses, palaces, huh? That's why the wife says, no more. He says, that's why when they die, they think the tombs are like palaces. That's their retribution. And they're so so greedy for food, for flavors. Who's not greedy for flavors? Come on, who doesn't like pizza? Huh? Neapolitan pizza, by the way. Isn't it interesting? So that's why it's so easy to fall. It's so easy to encounter these 8 difficulties. Because look, every day, how often do you have cravings for food and drinks? How often? And I have proof here. I brought with me today a woman who loves to cook good food for the Sangha. Okay, she's proud of it. It says, today let me change the menu. I cook something good for you to eat. And what do? Sanghas? We lined up. We said, oh, this is very good. Okay, so every day, what do? We plant the seeds to become hungry ghosts after we die. Thank you. And why do I feel so heavy right now? It's kind of something stuffed up somewhere in here. Mind you, I don't eat dinner. I didn't eat dinner tonight, but somehow it feels so full. So that's the truth. Greed is what brings you to hungry ghost realms. Okay, be careful. So every day we plant these seeds to fall. Lucky that we have Maya to help you come up with devices to counter that. So it's okay every now and then to be greedy for food, but be careful. Number 3, animals. Animals are controlled, they are abused, they're mistreated, they're killed, they're harmed. So these 3 lower realms, health, hungry ghosts, and animals are, once you fall there, it's very difficult to get out. This is no joke, folks. In Buddhism, one of the first things you want to learn, if you learn anything at all about Buddhism, is to avoid falling into these 3 lower realms. That's not a good place to go. Okay? And it's so easy to go into these spaces. Okay? Health. How do you go to the health? The old monk, how do you go to the health?
A Di Đà Phật, thầy con nhớ trong kinh Địa Tạng có nói là cái người muốn vô địa ngục đó phải có cái nghiệp báo mới vô được. Người thứ hai là Bồ Tát mới vô được.
How do you go to the health? If you want to go to the health, if you want to avoid going to the health, how do you avoid going to the health? Anyone else? The woman in a safe chamber, white.
Master, that is getting angry.
Really? Getting angry? How is it possible? Anger. When you get angry. you're planting the seeds to go to the hells yourself. Okay? Especially, in particular, in our times, right now, there are a lot of people who easily get angry, especially because they are manic. Once these sickles realize and determined that someone is wrong, they get angry. They feel righteous about it. And they feel justified in getting angry. And they may be right. They may be justified. They're perfectly justified in getting angry. If they're justified in getting angry, does it help prevent them from falling to the hells? Absolutely not. Whether you're right or not, you still fall to the hells. But guess what? These Manic people, they said, I don't care. This is so wrong. Master is so wrong. I fall to the hells, so be it. Someone has to tell me he's wrong. And guess what? Master keeps on doing all the wrong things to him. That's why you realize, for the old monk to escape, you have to overcome that. He doesn't listen. You know how difficult it is for an old man who doesn't listen? YouTube answer.
Mary Jo says, don't create an unrepentable offense.
But you can't help it. That's my point, MJ. People create offenses because they can't help themselves, especially these sickles. Okay? The sickles that give you job security, they can't help themselves. And what's scary about these people, especially these manic people, is that they throw tantrums and you explain to them and say, I don't care. I meant to go to the hells, I go to the hells. Okay? I remember one of my my Korean student. She occasionally comes around, but we're too much for her. She's very, very manic, and she has a fight with her ex-husband all the time over the children. They have 2 children together, and she occasionally comes around and talks to me because she needed to vent. I would listen to her, and one day she came around and says, "I need to talk to you." I said, "Okay, let's take a walk." Blue Mountain Temple is not a good place. It's hell there. So let's take a walk, go outside. I need a break myself. So we walked around, and she told me, she says, I need to confess to you. She's Catholic. She was Catholic until she came over and took refuge. But she's half Catholic, half Buddhist. Okay. And he says, last night, I had a fight with my husband, my ex-husband. I got so angry. So I stormed out of his apartment, and he drives a BMW, 7 Series BMW. Took out my key and keyed his car. I went over it several times to make sure that, it's well keyed. I left my artwork on his car, the paint job his car. And I said, why? She says, because he loves his car tremendously. So I wanted to make him suffer. And she says, in her own words, she says, I knew it was wrong, but I didn't care. Even if I go to jail, it's well worth it. She tried to tell them that not only will you go to jail, actually he sued her, by the way, later. Yeah. That's why she had to talk to me. She said, what do I do about this lawsuit? How do I fix this lawsuit? So I taught her how to fix it, okay? But it's funny, she says, I knew, because I talked to her about her being manic already. Okay, it's not the first time she came to vent to me. Yeah, and I knew it was wrong. I knew that, he could put me in jail. But I don't care. So anyway, the point is that these manic people, there's no reasoning with them. Once they get into that mode, that's it. Okay. Yeah. So sometimes, quite often, we create offenses because we, number one, we are not aware of it. Number two, it's not us. It's the manic ghost that's pulling our strings. And we have no clues. Nothing you can do. Okay? So when the old monk comes back and he throws tantrums, okay? That's part of your training. And he's not the only one. My temple, we have so many bipolar disciples. We're not normal. And that's why it's a very small group. You gotta be like something wrong with you. Because it turns out these people, they cannot go anywhere else. They go anywhere, they survive for a short while, and then they just shown the door. I said, please leave. We can't take you. And we are the only temple who can absorb all the tantrums. And we're the only shelter for these people who would like to go around and key your cars. How is that? So I told her, I said, if I help you, you have to remember, you dare touch my car, I will kill you. And she never came back, by the way. Maybe that's why. They can't help themselves, And the world has so many bipolar people. It's how scary it is. And we're the only temple who's willing to tolerate them until they key my car. They can go out and, puncture your tires and everything is okay. Okay? And that's scary. That's the next pandemic, by the way. It's uncontrollable already right now. There's no cure for them. There's no vaccine for it. That's how scary it is. And many of them are in positions of power. They can do serious damages. Okay? Just like that woman, I don't care. Let them die. Let them put me in prison. I don't care. What are you going to do? There's no medication for that. Once they're in that mode, forget it. Too late. Number 4, going back to the teaching, the heaven of long life. This refers to the 4th dhyana heaven of no thought. The lifespan there, when you reach 4th dhyana, chances are that it's very good for you to go to the 4th dhyana heaven when you die. There's a way for you to do that, okay? If you are able to do that, for example, the Tibetans, they have these techniques where they mess around with, they manipulate the consciousness, okay? I don't know what the appropriate type of Dharma, the exact nature of the Dharma, but I know the principle behind it, okay? I can guess the principle behind it. It's not beyond that, not beyond there's a key reason for that. So they manipulate these things, and it's still limited by your echelon. If you're this echelon, you cannot go higher than that. You can go lower, but you certainly cannot go higher. So that Dharma, Tibetan Dharma, and even the Dalai Lama claims he practices it every day, okay? It still brings you to the same level as before. You cannot go higher. Think about it. What else? So you go to the same echelon. You know what happens? You change bodies, you come back as another Lama, and you start from zero, and you cultivate and get to the same echelon. Okay? And you die, you come back. Okay? Same echelon. That's what's dangerous about it. Aren't you better off going to the Pure Land? Because if Amitabha Buddha is your teacher, that's not going to happen. See that? There's a very severe danger, very real danger in going back into this reincarnation. Even though you develop the skills to do that, you still are limited by that Dharma door. You keep on cycling back and be the same one. It's just like so many monks and nuns, okay? They come back, okay, eventually, and reach the same level as dhyana as the prior lifetime. That's it. They come back. Come back. That's it. All right. So this having a long life, their lifespan is 500 kalpas, which is considered very long. Okay, and they're very happy up there. Number 5, the number five difficulty is the northern Kuru continent. The world is made up of I'm trying to find out whether we should explain the northern continent for you. Later, we explain it to you, the structure and how the world is organized. Okay, it's described in great details in this sutra, and so basically, we live in what is called the southern continent, where we are. There are 4 continents. In our world, there's a central mountain called Mount Sumeru, and there's 4 continents: south, north, west, and east. We live in the southern continent, okay? And the northern continent, where people are born there as well, the name means superior place because these people live for 1,000 years. They're a lot longer than our lifespan. And the problem with the northern continent is that you cannot encounter the proper Dharma. Never. The proper Dharma is not available there. And yet they live there for 1,000 years. Okay, and they keep on going back there. So there's no way for them to escape the wheel of reincarnation. That's why it's difficulty. You cannot encounter the Dharma, the proper Dharma, to help you, to teach you how to get out of the wheel. Okay? Number 6, being blind, deaf, or mute. Again, you're blind, you cannot read the sutras. You cannot read the proper Dharma. You're deaf, you cannot hear the Buddha's sermons. You're mute, you cannot ask your questions. All right? So, how do you become blind, deaf, and mute? here's what happens. You create severe offenses. Let's say, take an example. Let's say you slander a person like a sage like Master YongHua. Never mind about Buddha yet. I'm just talking about low level. Master YongHua. Okay, he's a great sage. You say, he's so and so and so. He's short. He's ugly, and so forth. Okay. Just an example. I didn't say so. Okay. So you slander him. Okay. You slander a sage, and says he's fake. He's so forth, and that because of that, okay, you fall to the hells. This is worse than getting angry. Okay? So you fall to the hells. You'll be tortured for a long, long time. Okay? And you go in one hell for millions of lifetimes. Then you go to the adjacent hells for millions of lifetimes. It's unending. The torture is unbearable. If you think you're suffering right now, I have news for you. It ain't nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing yet. Okay? So you go to these adjacent hells, one after another. Because, let's face it, if you create that kind of heavy offenses, it's not going to be one, right? Does it make sense? You say, well, he's short. And then you keep on saying he's short. And then pretty soon you have to add, he's ugly. You know? And so forth. So you keep on, you add adjacent or additional offenses on top of the original offense. That's why you understand why you migrate from hell to hell to hell to hell. You see that? And after you get out of the hells, you go to the hungry ghost realms. Finally, after billions and trillions, quadrillions of years in the hells, and suffering with untold sufferings, uncountable sufferings, you go to the hungry ghost realm, and you have pizza. Okay? For billions of lifetimes. Okay? And finally, you get out. You go to animal realm. See, there's a hierarchy. There's an echelon of graveness. Hells, hungry ghosts, and animal realm. Well, you be in animal realms for millions of lifetimes as well. It's very difficult to get out. Okay? And once you get out, eventually, this is the typical progression. You pay off your karmic debts. Hells first, hungry ghosts next, animal realms next. Then you go into human realm. And when you go to human realm, I'm sorry, please don't get offended. Okay? Chances are that your organs are not complete, meaning you are blind, you're deaf, you mute, and so forth. Your four limbs are not complete, and so forth. That's what happens. And then you suffer, okay? Yeah. And then you fall down again, okay? And you climb up, hells, hungry ghosts, animal realms, human realm. Now, you're slightly better off, okay? Maybe you have one impediment, okay? And you live like that, and you fall again, okay? You climb up. Then you have a chance to have complete organs. That's how it works. That's why it's so scary. If you understand the cycling through the wheel of reincarnation, you should be scared. It's very serious business, folks. Especially for us monks and nuns. We create far more offenses than them people. They only have 5 precepts. We have, how many do you have? 340. Yes? I have 250. Everything we do is 91,000 kalpas in the house. Just because you forgot to purify the grapes I ate today for lunch. One grape, 91,000 kalpas in the house. So good. Okay, it's very serious business. Okay, number 7. This is typical worldly people having worldly knowledge, debate skills, and intelligence. Okay, these people have a lot of worldly knowledge. They can, they're very eloquent in making the cases, and they are smart people. Very, very smart people. They're very difficult because they're so full of themselves. They can figure things out. Okay? Bad news is that you can figure things out, worldly things out. You cannot figure out transcendental things. You can't. Okay? But it's no telling them that. They don't believe it. They said, I build my world. I build the Tower of Eiffel, the Eiffel Tower. I build monuments. I build this world. I build your temple. Okay, finally, the 8th difficulty is to be born before, after the Buddha. As far as I know, right now it's being covered up by a black banner. There you go. Be born before, after the Buddha. Okay, like we are right now. We're born after the Buddha. That's why our problem is that we don't have a good Noah advisor. It's so difficult. This is the meaning of number 8 difficulty is that your best bet to get out of this world reincarnation is by following a good Noah advisor. And the best good Noah advisor is the Buddha. Anyone else below him, okay, would not be as good. So it's a difficulty. Okay, even when we met with my master, Master YongHua, okay, he's a great Noah advisor, but still, his help to you is still limited. Okay, it's not the same as the Buddha at all, by far. Okay, so that's why we struggle a lot, you know. And case in point, after my master died, his followers struggle so much. Okay, after the Buddha died, his disciples stayed in the world and flourished. They did very, very well. Okay? So that's a difference between a teacher. You have a Buddha teaching you, he will take care of you. So that's why it's a real difficulty is that we cannot encounter the Buddha. That's why, again, I emphasize to you, if you're able to go to Western Bliss Pure Land, that's your best bet. I don't care if you're enlightened or not. If you're enlightened, you still need a good Noah advisor. Go to the Western Bliss Pure Land, where he'll take care of you forever. Okay, so I hope in the future, in the closing comment, hope in the future, the Mahayana Pure Land Dharma door will be more, have more influence here in this country, because it is probably the best Dharma door right now. Okay, and to me, of all times, not just the Dharma ending age, it's all times. Okay, and your obstructions are so heavy that over the last 15 years, I watched so many people practice, and they never take this Pure Land Dharma door seriously. They missed the boat entirely. Yes, YouTube.
Jane asks, would the Buddha return to this world again?
Yes, he will. Okay, but not as a Buddha. He's still around here, but not as a Buddha. The next Buddha that will be officially known to the world will be Maitreya Buddha. Okay, it will be a long time before that happens. So that's why until then, we really are on our own. Just like my master, after he died, we struggled. We all struggled. And we are actually his descendants stopped making progress. So it's a big struggle for us. Okay? All right. That's it for tonight. Next time we go to slide 149. And for now, let's do a rebirth transference to help these people go to the Pure Land. Thank you.